Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. This is another installation of the Fearless Women series, and I'm just reaching out to everybody I can get my hands on. And who we'll be talking with today is I don't even know what to say about Felicia Hatcher. If you hadn't heard of her, then you're sleeping under a rock somewhere. But she's an innovator, entrepreneur, creator, coach. She does epic shit, as she likes to say. And we'll be talking a lot about that today. So I'll be visiting on your website, Felicia. I know you have a couple of resources online that I definitely want to share. So we'll kind of get right into it if that's okay.
Okay, sounds perfect.
Yeah. So first, I'm sorry, I have to pull up this report on the Walker's Legacy report about Black women entrepreneurs. Like, it's the perfect thing to talk about, especially since we had just connected, a couple weeks ago, talking about women of color, people of color, especially minority entrepreneurs. So I love what they're talking about here. And what's so interesting to me is, in working with my publisher and working on the Becoming Fearless book, we see these reports. There are so many Black women starting businesses, but what I like to call the dark market are those of us that are held back by this fear that we can't always articulate. So I want to really kind of get into talking about how you got started, what it is you do, the fear, if any, that you had to overcome. So we could start there. Just tell us about what it is that you do.
All right. So thank you, first of all, Latanya, for inviting me to be a part of this. I love it. Talk about fearless women all day long. Count me in for sure. I'm looking forward to digging deep into Natalie Cofield and her team's report with Walker Legacy. There's just so much information to just kind of digest. That's a part of it. And the work that she's doing, seeing what have they grown over the years, I think is really important. So when you talk about Black women are essentially the fastest group of entrepreneurs and new entrepreneurship in this country. That's really exciting. The part that's not so exciting is that we still lag behind for companies that are actually producing payroll. So that means that we're not hiring and we're not scaling past kind of like the solopreneur as much as our growth is into kind of taking our ideas and becoming entrepreneurs. So I like Walker Legacy because not only are they doing the research to have that baseline, but then they're also doing that work as well, which is equally important. So, when you talk about being a fearless woman, and just fear in general, it's, I have these little business cards that say F fear, right? Because I don't think it's real. It doesn't exist. You cannot reach out and touch fear, but in our heads it's so big and it's so heavy and it weighs us down, and we miss opportunities time and time again because in our mind we've made up a lot of times situations that don't exist, right? Or they will never exist. But in our head, we've created problems that stop us from even taking a step forward. And that's rooted in a lot of things. That's rooted in the way that we've grown up. I wrote an article, I think 2 seasons ago from Scandal. And there was this monologue with Papa Pope and Olivia Pope when he was just telling her how she has to work twice as hard to just, everyone remembers that one. It was one of the ones that was shared a ton of times through social media, and this just tirade he went on about her having to work twice as hard to be half as good. And I think when you specifically talk about overcoming fear and following your dreams and passion and our potential and making sure our potential produce profits and all those things, especially when it relates to the Black community, I think that's one of the most dangerous things that we can say to our young people. And we've all heard it, right? So whether it was our parents, it was our grandparents, it was a teacher, someone, they've all told us that. And by telling us that, it's telling us that no matter how hard we work, we're only going to get half of what we're entitled to, which is problem number one. Problem number two is when you kind of give us that pressure without the tools in order to move forward and push past the fear, we only stay in very safe zones. We don't iterate and we don't experiment and we don't have this freedom to fail because we can't disappoint everybody back home that's waiting on us to succeed. And because of that limiting belief, we don't realize that, hey, if we do fail and we can fail forward every single time, you can really create exponential growth and generational wealth for your community and your family if you push past that fear and realize it's not real, right? Danger is real, like Will Smith says in that movie, but fear is absolutely not real, and we do have to push past that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I love your story. I think I listened to you. I don't know which one of the many podcasts you have been interviewed on, but I heard your story about, being the C student and being so creative and starting your business when you were at Lynn. But did you have any fear that you had to overcome as you were taking that journey?
Yeah, fear every single day. Right now, as we speak, I'm in fear of Hurricane Matthew. And I'm like buried in my parents' house as a mini evacuation route. But I think the thing that we have to realize when we talk about fear, and I could talk about that all day long of just feeling that, in my heart, that pressure that tenses up in your back, the thoughts that go on inside your head. But I don't think fear ever really goes away. You just you become stronger, right? Every time you overcome it and you realize, like, shit, it wasn't that bad, or you overcome it and you learn the lessons, or you just push past the pain, the stress, and whatever it is that's holding you back, and you realize that you had it all along when you really just kind of trusted yourself. And then also allowed yourself to just kind of take up space in the world. And so I can give you examples all day long, so many things, from even like you referenced, LaTanya, being a C student in high school. My fear was disappointing my parents. My fear is all my friends going to college and me listening to my guidance counselor who told me I would never make it to college or university and proceeded to not help me. My fear was knowing that I felt that I was doing pretty good, right? I was extremely active as a student in community events, sports, extracurricular activities on my campus. I was a big sister. Like, I volunteered all these hours. But of course, it didn't translate to my GPA in the normal classroom setting, right? Hindsight 2020, I didn't fail school. School was failing me. But I was also that kid that was like, could rewire cable in my bedroom and taught myself, how to code and Dreamweaver and Photoshop, and those things didn't translate really well. Right. And because of that, because I felt like I didn't have things stacked up against me, I had all these thoughts, these fearful thoughts inside my head that I was not good enough, that I was not worthy, and that nothing was going to happen for me leading down that path of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And moreover, kind of trusting the thoughts and opinions of someone who didn't know me, that was trying to define my life at 17 years old by telling me I'd never make it to college. I had to push past all that, and it's lucky I did, because I wouldn't be on on this webinar with you today, or any of the things that have happened because of that, if I listened to this person and not realize that there's more than one road to success.
Right. I love what you said about, the fear always being there, because a part of my platform is not that I am fearless, but I am becoming fearless. And it is a daily process. It is, consistent talks with God about, okay, right. I know you got me. But I definitely appreciate that. And I know you're in Miami, and I really forgot that Matthew was on the way, because I'm texting my sister, and they're in line at like Popeyes or something. I'm like,
yeah, us South Floridians, we're horrible. Like a hurricane category 4 is coming. Yeah, whatever. Like, they said to get out off the road at 12, and I'm leaving at 12:30. Whatever,
Right. And so they're all like, and my cousin, I think this is his first hurricane. So I grew up in Miami too, and lived through Andrew and all of that. And now being in North Florida and Hermine just came through, I'm just like, okay, I might be made out of some tough armor here.
Right.
And my cousin, who's like 17, is saying, well, my mom's acting like all the food in the fridge is no good. I said, let you have no power, and the food will not be any good.
Right. Yeah, my mom's cooking up a storm in there. My brother just called me. He's in New York, and he was like, I heard that, like, Dad hasn't, like, put any shutters up or anything like that. I'm like, dude, like, you lived in this house? We went through Andrew and all these hurricanes. They never did anything. Like, I don't know why you think all of a sudden it's something different. Like, we're just gangsters down here. We think that we can survive anything. So it's fun.
Right. Oh man, I love it. So speaking of, surviving anything, I love the whole epicness, and I hope I got the capital N right.
Yes.
But how should our listeners and our audience, how should they gauge whether or not it's time for them to start knowing that they can live through anything and start to unleash their own epicness?
Yeah, I think it's literally, when you wake up every morning, and the fact that you wake up means that you have been granted another chance, and a chance that a lot of people, like thousands of people every single day die, right, or pass away, and you are granted a chance to do it all over again and push forward. And it sounds so simple in the grand scheme of things, but it's a really big deal. And I think for so many of us, we have these really huge, gigantic ideas, and they intimidate us a lot of times, and that's why we don't unleash our epicness. And when you take that big, grandiose idea and you zero it down to the very small steps that you can start taking immediately, and some steps that you can actually physically see yourself moving forward, that really starts to help people unleash their epicness, right? So I wrote a book called Start Your Business on a Ramen Noodle Budget. If you want to start a university, I could never tell you that you could start that on a ramen noodle budget, right? That would not be fair. I'd totally be misleading you. But you can package up your genius, package up what your expertise is, what your skills are. You now have platforms like lynda.com and Teachery and Kajabi and all these different sites that now allow you to take your expertise, tap into your network online or networks online, and you're able to teach people and monetize that, right? Teach them and actually make money. That is a minimal viable product of a university, right? That allows you to actually monetize your idea, test your ideas, make money off of it, build a network, build a following, because that's how schools start, right? Especially now in the 21st century, and you may find that because I'm experimenting, I'm moving forward, it feels good, there's some level of validation for this idea, I can unleash my epicness and really turn this into the next $1 million or $1 billion business or idea. Same thing for a nonprofit. Like, it is too easy to start and catapult your idea these days with the technology that we have, that people have absolutely no excuse to not unleash their epicness, right? Like, I always tell the story of Oprah 30-something years ago when she had a fro, right? We kind of look at her as the pinnacle of, like, media success on a number of levels, right? No one can deny Oprah's greatness, right? But 30-something years ago when she started, like, Facebook didn't exist yet, right? Like, Mark Zuckerberg was not even born yet. 30-something years ago, Twitter was just a sound, and not just her. You have, Richard Branson and all these other people. When they were starting, none of the things that we had existed. LinkedIn was the name of a prison. Foursquare was a parking space. Like, Apple was something that we ate and not something that I'm communicating with you on my Mac. And the cloud was still in the sky like 30-something years ago and not something that we save data to. So if she was able to do that, if Richard Branson and all these other people that we look at as successful models of that we can emulate, and they were able to do that with none of the technology that we had today, Like, none of us have any excuses. It is too easy now. But, as far as the tools being there, the hardest part is literally getting out of your head and getting out of your way. And sometimes you just have to psych yourself into doing things. And that's why I think it's important of taking that big, grandiose idea, breaking it down to really small steps so that you can start getting the instant gratification that says, okay, I got this. This is the right move. Let me take another step forward and another step forward and start connecting the dots.
Right. Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you. So I know you have a lot going on. There's the little one, which I know you have in common. There's the speaking and the writing and everything. So in your 168 hours in a week, how are you leveraging Felicia Hatcher, mom, wife, entrepreneur? How are you doing that?
Oh wow, that's a hard question depending on the week. It is difficult at times. I will not ever sugarcoat that. I have a daughter that's getting ready to turn 3 next week. I'm supposed to be planning a birthday party or something that may or may not happen, and I'm okay with that, right? But I have a really good support team, and my husband, who's also my business partner. We have another really good partner that's in the mix, Starrick Smith. And so it's all about the team. And, for me, it wasn't the easiest lesson to learn because I was very much of I can do everything. I'm Superwoman. And then important things really start to fall by the wayside, and you realize that you have to duplicate yourself. You have to trust other people. And trust them to make the mistakes until they can get it right. And so that, for me, was one of the biggest lessons that I learned, because when I started my first business at 19 years old in college, and it was an educational consulting business, and someone that I hired, and I'm 19, right, 19, 20 years old, someone that I hired ended up taking my biggest contract from me, which was at $25,000 at the time, right, 19, building these educational college prep programs for churches and universities and community organizations. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing something, right? And so that to me was a very devastating blow at 20 years old. And I had written off ever becoming an entrepreneur ever again because I was so devastated and so hurt that I trusted someone, and meanwhile they were plotting to take my company from me, and they succeeded to a certain extent. So not only did they take that contract, but I was so hurt. It was the biggest punch in the gut to me at that age that I closed that business. And so when it came to starting a business again, I surrounded myself with friends and family because I can trust them. And when I started to hire up and hire more people, it was very hard for me to trust those people and give them the work that they needed to really be able to succeed. But I learned that lesson. So in my 168 hours, to make sure I'm answering your question, it's a big team. I do a lot. So I'm traveling quite a bit. I speak on a number of things, so not just entrepreneurship, but funding and personal branding, and then essentially how to rid our communities of innovation deserts with technology and startups and a ton of stuff, and fun stuff too, right? How to unleash your badassery and how to do epic shit, all that stuff. And then we run a nonprofit together called Code Fever, myself, my husband, and a business partner. And then I'm into a lot of side projects as well, but I'm able to manage that and keep my sanity because these are all these pieces and projects and companies are literally the things that I want to do, and so it's important. And I hate being asked the work-life balance question, but I feel that you don't have to balance everything if you are doing things that are actually in alignment to who you are and what you want to be, because those are the things that you should be doing. When you start to feel this tension of when you look at this project or look at this work or you get that phone call, you're just ugh, that's not what you're supposed to be doing at that time. That's not the person that you're supposed to be talking to. And of course, not every situation is going to be that ideal situation, but your body tells you when you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing. It does that all day long, and we have to listen to that. So that's how I spend my 168 hours. Sometimes I need like 200 hours to fit into that 168 hours. But the team, of course, and then my parents as well, have been just amazing with helping me kind of have that village to support everything that I'm doing, but then my daughter as well.
Okay, cool. So you kind of talked a little bit about what's next for you with Coat Fever and a lot of other side projects. Anything specifically that we should be keeping our ears to the ground for, or anything that you need more help with from, the general community?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's tons going on. We're already like 2017 is practically planned out, and we're working on 2018 right now. So, and if you're really on top of your thing, I tell people you should literally be working 2 years ahead. So we're opening up a co-working space in Overtown in Miami. So that's going to open early next year. It's been delayed all year, so that's part of, if I had hair, my hair would be gone. Just construction and fundraising and all that fun stuff that goes into a big project of that magnitude. And I've been working for quite a few months on a really fun and interesting research project called the Eddie Project, which is an economic development and inclusive innovation report as it relates to startup founders of color in the state and then also across the nation. And then Black Tech Week 2017. So we had 1,700 participants last year. We're looking to double our numbers next year, and then do some expansion across the state and across the nation with the work that we're doing. So it's a lot, and that's not even all of it, but those are some of the big projects that we are just putting out into the world, and then just looking to get more people involved and engaged and support them and increase deal flow in our community is those are the projects that we're working on. Yeah.
I love it. And I know that Eunice Kofi has come down for Black Tech Week twice.
Yeah.
Cool. Like she keeps Tallahassee, we're working on not being an innovation desert, but certainly in communities of color. Like we're banging the drum. So
nice. And any way we can help, like definitely let us know.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cool. So then I have your, all your contacts, the Twitter, and I love the personal branding. Like it only made sense, right? That everything was FHatcher.
And that was literally not a branding move. That was for my sanity and ease of remembering move. Like everything just needs to be Felicia Hatcher because it's easy for you to remember. It is easy for me to remember. So.
Yes, I love it. So now as we're going to kind of wrap things up, I want to talk a little bit about some fearless freebies. And I know on your site there are a couple things that people can get for free, like the, was it the manifesto? I think it was.
There's a ton of free downloads on my site. So there are manifestos. There's an infographic about 7 PR tips to help you shine bright like a diamond. There's the Do Epic Shit list, which I think is really important. I wrote an article for the Huffington Post quite a few months ago about the imposter syndrome. And so when you talk about like fearless women, what usually goes hand in hand with that is a lot of high performing and successful women suffer from imposter syndrome. And that means that no matter what you've achieved, when you go into that boardroom, when you're putting together that proposal, when you're standing up in front of the crowd, oftentimes we feel really small and we doubt ourselves. And we don't remember, and we think that we need to have certain things stacked up for us to be able to take charge and take up space in any room and command. But we deserve a seat at the table, and if we don't, we have all the tools to make our own damn tables. But we surround ourselves with like all these motivational quotes on our walls and in our cars and the motivational tapes, and those things are all good, but there comes a point where you have to say, no, I got this. Like, I seriously got this. And so I created your epic shit list as a way to just list everything that you've ever accomplished, so that when you are having those moments where you're feeling really small and you're doubting yourself and you don't know if you should be in that room, even though you should be in that room, but you're doubting yourself for whatever reason, or you are wishing away opportunities, because I've done that, right? I remember when the cooking channel called, I was just like, I don't think we're ready, and I'm just like, and I was freaking out, but I'm like, this is the biggest opportunity like that has ever come, the cooking channel, right?
Yeah.
But I had to say, like, why am I doubting myself? Like, why don't I think this opportunity, or I deserve this opportunity? And like, and one of the things that I list on that article is like something to help you is you have to have your "Are you kidding me" friends, right? So those are those friends that allow you to vent. They let you vent for about a minute, but then they're just like, are you kidding me? You achieved this, 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 and this. Like, why are you doubting yourself? Like, go out there and like put your blazer on and just like kill it. But then the list that's available is literally your Little League trophy, your gymnastics trophy, the raise that you got, the business contract that you closed, things that you have accomplished, so that when you are having those kind of moments, and we have those moments, those are natural, and you should have those moments, right? Because that means that you are leveling up and you're putting yourselves in rooms that are going to grow you and stretch you. Like, that kind of goes back to what you said about fear. Like, if you never feel fear and tense when you go into situations, that means that you are not leveling up, and you should constantly be leveling up. So have this list to remind yourself of everything that you've accomplished and how kick butt and fearless you are, so that you can move forward and not stand in your own way.
I love it. I love it. So just kind of like in closing, well, I spend a lot of time. I spend too much time is what I do. Spend too much time on Facebook. But I don't think
there's such a thing.
Right.
So I'm right there in you with that boat.
Right. A lot of where I am spending that time is in this Facebook group, the Entrepreneurs Top 5, and it's based on Jim Rohn's quote, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So I want to thank you for being in my 5 this week. And then there's just one like parting quote that I love to remind people of. Is just that the value that we offer to the world is how we inspire others to seek that transformation that that's so deep. It's not even deep within. It's like right there on the surface level. So thank you so much for being a part of that inspiration and helping to transform so many communities of color with what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, LaTanya, for this platform and allowing me to be a part of it. I appreciate it. Keep putting your gifts out into the world. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. All righty, ma'am. So I am going to just stop the recording, and we can kind of wrap things up from there.
Okay. Sounds good.